What happens when you completely throw positional need out the window and let the draft board dictate the future of the Chicago Bears? Prepare yourselves, because this pure best player available mock draft brings a shocking first-round playmaker and defensive steals that will leave you absolutely stunned. If Ryan Poles actually pulls this off, the rest of the National Football League better watch its back. Before we dive into this ultimate draft masterclass, make sure you smash that like button, share this video with every diehard fan you know, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on our explosive draft coverage. We are officially less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, and the tension in the Windy City is reaching an absolute boiling point. Everyone in the sports media world is screaming about finding the best player available, but how often do general managers actually have the guts to follow through with it? Ryan Poles has strongly hinted at sticking strictly to his board, so today, we are putting that exact strategy to the ultimate test. There will be absolutely no trades. There will be no desperate reaching for positional needs. We are going through 7 grueling rounds of pure, unfiltered, best player available madness. The only logical rule we are applying here is that we are not going to ridiculously double dip. If we snatch up an elite edge rusher early in the draft, we are not going to waste our very next pick on another edge rusher just because he happens to be the highest graded guy left. But other than that one caveat, this is a raw, dramatic look at what happens when pure talent dictates your franchise's future. Do you think a pure talent-first approach is the ultimate secret to building a dynasty, or does ignoring glaring roster holes spell complete disaster for a football team? With the 25th overall pick in the first round, the board is looking incredibly spicy. We are staring down some heavy hitters right out of the gate. You have guys like Tennessee cornerback Colton Hood, physical Northwestern left tackle Caleb Tiernan, Missouri edge rusher Zion Young, and Clemson pass rusher TJ Parker. But sitting right there at the very top of the talent pool is Arizona State wide receiver Jordyn Tyson. Because this is a strict best player available exercise, the sheer, electrifying upside of Jordyn Tyson is simply impossible to ignore. Yes, the health history is a major discussion point that has fans sweating. He has been rehabbing a lingering hamstring issue since the end of the college season, and everyone across the league is holding their breath to see how he looks at his upcoming April 17th private workouts. But let me tell you right now, if this young man tests well, runs a blazing 40-yard dash, and looks fluid in his drills, he will easily solidify himself as a top 15 overall talent in this class. When he is fully healthy, Jordyn Tyson has a legitimate, undeniable claim as the absolute best pass catcher in this entire draft. Just look at the jaw-dropping production he put on tape. Over the last 2 seasons, playing in 21 games, he has racked up over 1,800 receiving yards. Do the quick math on that. He is knocking on the door of averaging nearly 100 yards every single time he laces up his cleats. He delivered an astounding 13 different games with 75 receiving yards or more. He closed out his latest campaign with a ridiculous, unguardable streak of high-yardage dominance. He is a game-wrecking, big-time playmaker who can align inside in the slot, line up outside on the boundary, and completely terrorize opposing secondaries. Imagine pairing a healthy Jordyn Tyson with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. You would instantly give the Chicago Bears the most lethal, explosive, and downright terrifying receiver trio in professional football. Unless there is some hidden medical red flag that we are completely blind to, taking Tyson at 25 is a massive swing for the fences that could genuinely win you a championship. Moving into the second round, the stakes and the tension ramp up significantly. At pick 57, we are looking at a cluster of absolute game-changers. Arizona cornerback Trey Stooks and Penn State edge rusher Dani Dennis-Sutton are staring us right in the face. But remember the strict rules of this exercise. The highest graded player left on our board right now is none other than Notre Dame running back Jadarian Price. I know exactly what you are thinking. A running back. In the second round. Really. But wait until you hear why this makes so much devastating sense. Price operated as a spectacular secondary back behind Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame, meaning he is entering the professional ranks with incredibly fresh legs. There is a massive amount of tread left on those tires. Over his final 2 collegiate seasons, he averaged more than 6 yards per carry, breaking tackles and showing elite burst. Furthermore, he is a dynamic kickoff returner. In the modern NFL, where the new kickoff rules demand elite vision, tackle-breaking ability, and pure running instincts, Price is a devastating special teams weapon. He averaged a ridiculous 36 yards per return with 3 touchdowns on just 22 collegiate attempts. Here is the question of the day. If the Chicago Bears draft a stud like Jadarian Price to pair with Kyle Monangai, should they immediately try to trade DeAndre Swift for draft capital? Or should they keep all three and unleash a crowded, chaotic backfield on the league? Let me know your exact thoughts down in the comments below. We are right back on the clock just 3 picks later at number 60. Fortunately for us, that Penn State phenom Dani Dennis-Sutton is still sitting right there waiting to be drafted. This is an absolutely massive victory for the front office. Defensive coordinator Dennis Allen demands a very specific brand of violence, physicality, and toughness from his defensive line, and Dennis-Sutton brings it in spades. He improved his production dramatically year over year, putting up identical elite statistics in 3 fewer games while playing on a Nittany Lions team that struggled down the stretch. He defends the run with vicious intensity and has the raw, unadulterated power to violently dent the pocket on passing downs. If you missed out on Zion Young or Derek Moore earlier in the draft, grabbing a blue-chip defensive talent like Dennis-Sutton at pick 60 is absolute highway robbery that instantly elevates the entire defensive front. Now we dive deep into the 3rd round at pick 89, where the value continues to magically fall perfectly into our laps. We have intriguing options on the board like Michigan defensive tackle Grayson Halton and Ohio State cornerback Davison Igbinosun, but the smartest, highest-graded football player available is Auburn center Connor Lew. Grabbing a center here might feel unconventional to some fans, but Connor Lew is arguably the premier pass-protecting center in this entire draft class. He is a cerebral assassin in the trenches. He unfortunately suffered an ACL tear back in October, which realistically means his rookie training camp might be slightly delayed. But here is the brilliant, strategic part of this selection. The Bears do not need him to start week 1. We have veteran Garrett Bradbury holding down the fort. Lew can come in, essentially redshirt his rookie season, heavily study the complex offensive scheme, and fully recover his knee without an ounce of pressure. By the following year, he seamlessly steps in as the undisputed franchise center for the next decade. Fast forward to the 4th round at pick 129. At this late stage of the draft, finding a day 1 starter is incredibly rare and highly difficult. But South Carolina defensive back Jalen Kilgore is sitting right there. Renowned draft analyst Dane Brugler absolutely loves this kid, noting his size, his athletic talent, and his undeniable ball-hawking skills. Kilgore is an ultra-aggressive, high-risk, high-reward playmaker who is not afraid to lay the lumber in the run game. We finally arrive at the grueling 7th round. The Bears have 2 late picks to close out the draft, number 239 and 241. These are the ultimate lottery tickets where you swing for the fences. At pick 239, we are selecting Georgia guard Micah Morris. Let me be perfectly clear, Morris is an absolute freak of nature. Tipping the scales at a staggering 335 pounds, he boasts explosive power and shocking athleticism for a man of his mammoth size. There is tape on this guy where he completely dominates his SEC competition, looking like a surefire mid-round prospect. Sure, there are whispers about his consistency and whether he is the perfect locker room fit, but in the 7th round, you absolutely take that gamble every single time. If he harnesses his raw talent, you just drafted a massive starting guard for pennies. If not, 7th rounders get cut all the time. It is a risk-free investment with astronomical upside. With our final selection at pick 241, we are grabbing Washington defensive tackle Antario Thompson. The Bears actually brought him in for a top 30 pre-draft visit, so the interest from the front office is absolutely genuine. Thompson perfectly fits the mold of what this defensive coaching staff desires in a late-round defensive tackle prospect. He is explosive, highly athletic, and moves incredibly well for his massive frame. His athletic testing scores were uniquely high for the defensive tackle position, and while he is considered a raw prospect who needs development, he is the exact type of relentless competitor who will violently fight for a roster spot in training camp. At the very least, he becomes a high-end practice squad stash while he sharpens his technique. Looking back at this entire draft haul, the strict best player available strategy produced an absolute masterpiece of a roster. We did not necessarily force a desperate pick for a left tackle, nor did we reach for a glaring need at linebacker, but just look at the incredible talent we acquired. Jordyn Tyson transforms the receiving core into an unstoppable offensive juggernaut. Jadarian Price guarantees the long-term success and explosiveness of the rushing attack. Dani Dennis-Sutton is the menacing, physical edge rusher this defense has been desperately craving. Connor Lew secures the middle of the offensive line for the distant future. Jalen Kilgore provides lethal, hard-hitting versatility in the secondary, while Micah Morris and Antario Thompson bring massive, high-upside muscle to the trenches. When you trust your scouting department, trust your draft board, and flat-out refuse to reach for positional needs, the pure talent simply takes over. The roster gets fundamentally stronger, incredibly deeper, and vastly more competitive across the board. This mock draft is undeniable, thrilling proof that sometimes the absolute best way to fill your team's needs is simply to draft the best football players on the planet and let the chips fall where they may.